Hello, everybody. Welcome along to EFL today as we look back at a kind of busy weekend across the Football League. With me as ever, Joe Jacobson, bona fide Football League legend, countless number of appearances, but still not a grey hair in sight. Joseph!
How are we? You're lying. I can see one. I think it's the angle that
I've
you're
some
looking at.
state in my
That
beard. Look at that. Grey hairs
I know,
everywhere,
yeah,
pal. It's
I
what
know.
football
That's the
does to you.
stressful life you're living.
Mate, it's the stressful football team I support. 2-0 up in the 85th minute, ended up drawing 2-2.
I was going to ask you that. What happened? I was keeping an eye on it, seeing what was going on. Some Matty Stevens score late on. I think right, that's
Great
done and
goal.
dusted. 3 points. You don't concede a lot of goals, most clean sheets. I was like, there's no way in hell they're gonna not win this game. Look back 10 minutes later and it's 2-2. What happened?
That was very, very frustrating, Joe. The only way I can describe it. Very, very frustrating. 2-0. They are a good side, Barrow. They go to frustrate you. They go to annoy you. They're like, that annoying little brother in the playground. I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. Then they turn up and they're actually quite good. Yeah, that they were good. And they go out and they hit us on the counter twice and bang. It is what it is. That's part of life's rich tapestry, isn't it?
Exactly, and this is why we love football because things like that can happen. It doesn't matter if there's a minute left, 2 minutes left, whether you're 1 or 2 or 3 goals up. We've seen it before, haven't we? Where all of a sudden someone's cruising in the game, a goal goes in against you, and it's like panic stations. The other team all of a sudden go, "We can get a point here. We can go and win
Mm.
this." The crowd get nervy, the players get nervy, the managers might make a silly substitution. Next thing you know, you've drawn 2-2, and everyone's gone, "What the hell happened there?" But that's why we love football.
Just a 6-0 on Saturday across the Football League. The games that were saved off of the international wait. Should we start in League One?
Yeah, because I don't want to go to League Two because I was at one of those nil-nils.
Let's get a League One. Let's start at the top. Wrexham flying high, challenging for automatic promotion. It's advantaged them again, 3 points ahead. Wycombe Wanderers and Jay Rodriguez, big Jay Rodriguez, with the goal for them. As they beat Stockport County, another side fighting for promotion by a goal to nil.
Surely you've seen the goal and the incident that led up to it. Never have I ever seen a incident happen. The referee give a decision. A player. Now look, I don't know what went on the conversations between the referee, the linesman, and whoever else, but it looked on the cameras that a player goes mad at the officials. The officials then have a conversation, change their mind. I don't think it's a penalty even after looking at it on the TV, let alone when it happened in real time. And unfortunately for Stockport, goalkeeper saves a penalty, and it comes back to Rodriguez. It's almost like slow motion, isn't it? How he took his
Mm.
time, and it's a great finish in the end. And when Wrexham go 1-0 up, they're so good at holding on to leads. I saw it last week at Wycombe, and they did it again here to Stockport. To get 6 points from Wycombe and Stockport games is a massive boost for their promotion chances.
Absolutely huge. They're like a Newfoundland with a lead, aren't they? They just hold on to it completely. Charlton Athletic beaten heavily by Peterborough United, and that has impacts at both top and bottom. Charlton, who are motoring into the playoffs, still 6 points clear inside, but they'll be wary that Huddersfield, Bolton, and Reading all have a game in hand on them behind them. But for Peterborough United, surely that is safety now. 9 points clear of the relegation zone after a whopping win. And for Darren Ferguson's side, of course, Darren Ferguson, son of the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson, formerly of Manchester United, it's finally a bit of relief going into a big game at Wembley against Birmingham in a couple of weeks.
That's exactly it, isn't it? And they've got their star man back as well in Kwame Poku, who came on, produced one of the assists for the game in the game. And they're turning their form around right at the right time, aren't they? They went on a really tough run of games, and I just thought that they could be sucked right into this relegation battle. Peterborough are always known for having a really young, exciting squad that always houses themselves at the top end of the division. This season, though, I feel like they just sold a couple too many of their good star assets, and all of a sudden then they've got an inexperienced squad, not used to fighting relegation, not used to losing games, and it's been tough for them. But Darren Ferguson, what a job he's done again to kind of turn it around, producing young players again. And all of a sudden they got the showcase final at Birmingham to look forward to. Whereas now I think they can look forward to it because they are safe. I don't see them going down. So yeah, credit to Peterborough for producing one of the performances of the weekend.
Can I congratulate them? They're no longer the worst defence in League One. Crawley, Cambridge, Shrewsbury, and Bristol Rovers have all conceded more goals now than Peterborough. That's one thing that they've had to work on. The back line, very, very, very young. At one point, the average age was 20 or 21 years old, and they've managed to level things out. And they sit on 60 goals conceded, but 56 scored. And I think it's all about now the future of some of those bigger names in their squad. Kwame Poku out of contract at the end of the summer. Got told a bit of gossip today. Got told that a championship club put in a 6-figure bid for him on deadline day, but he never wanted to go there. He's been absolutely lightning for him. And I'll tell you what, if he wasn't about, then I'd have worried for their future. Just on a side note, Birmingham City have sold 43,000 tickets for that game at Wembley. Now, the EFL Trophy Final is a competition contested by teams in League One and League Two, and Premier League reserve teams as well, B teams, and it's kind of watered down the spirit of the competition. A lot of people have boycotted it, said they don't fancy it anymore because, well, why would you when you've got sort of like the offshoots, the under 21s of Premier League clubs going in there. But for Birmingham City to take 43,000 people is huge. Let me just explain that and put it into wider context. Last year's final, last year's final between Peterborough.
I'm laughing here as well because I was part of it.
Took 42,000 people. That was the entirety of the crowd. 42,252 Peterborough Wickham. Birmingham sold out their initial 36,800 allocation, which is 10,000 more than what was given to Peterborough United, the 25,108 given to Peterborough. The Blues were then given an extra 6,500 tickets to take their official number to 43,356. And as of this morning, they still had another 10,000 people waiting in a queue to go and grab some tickets. But that is phenomenal, Joe.
It's incredible. And it reminds me of a couple of seasons ago, we got to the playoff final and played Sunderland, another hugely supported club. And it got to the point where they kept asking for more and more tickets because they could have sold out Wembley just themselves. And in the end, our club had to kind of say no. And I think Wembley said no in the end because of a safety issue, because they would have taken the whole top tier and kind of surrounded our fans. And in the end, I think they took 46,000 as well there. And Wickham took a lot, and it ended up being 72,000, which was incredible for a third-tier game. But that's the beauty of a team in League One, where you've got massive fan base, and we've spoken about that before in this pod, where when you've got someone like Tom Brady involved in the club, the feel-good factor around the place, fans are desperate to be a part of it, and the whole city. Birmingham's a huge city as it is, and the whole city at the minute seems to be all rallying around good football that's going on with Aston Villa in the Premier League as well. But Birmingham are doing amazing things, and well played them for taking that many fans to Wembley. But it's up to Peterborough youngsters now, who won it last season, see if they can go and do the repeat.
46,000. I can't wait for that. I'm going to be there. Really, really looking forward to that game. Let's push on with our review of the action from the leagues at the weekend. And in League Two, some huge games, some big goals, but the story is simple. Bradford City keep motoring on, and that huge crowd we talked about. We're not talking about it. Well, we can talk about it in the future, aren't we? But I mean, 23,000 people at Valley Parade. What a number of people to go and watch it, and it just shows the team, the city. They're all sort of working in unison.
Yeah, and look what happens when the team's doing well. What it can bring to not just the football club, but the surrounding areas, the community. People can now see a promotion for Bradford that they haven't had for a long, long time, and everyone wants to be a part of it. And sometimes football clubs can be the heartbeat of a community. It can be where people go and see their friends on the weekend, where people kind of have that break from their normal life, or it helps with their mental health, that they go to these football clubs and be a part of something that they may not have during the week. And Bradford on the weekend, it's a very well supported club anyway, the biggest in League Two, but to fill out or to have 23,000 fans there is just incredible. But not only that, the performance they put on as well was breathtaking. And yeah, I think they are now. I'm putting them out there. I'm saying they're going to go up automatically. I don't know what you think about
I
that.
think they're going to win the league. Forget automatics. My money is that they go on and win the league because we look at the leaders, Walsall. And I mean, there's a reason why we're starting with the second place team rather than the top team, and that's because Walsall have failed to win again now. Again, the lead now cut to a point following a goal of straw against Gillingham, American-owned Gillingham. But I mean, genuinely, I don't know what's gone on with them. They've absolutely fallen off a bit of a cliff. Elsewhere, at the top end of the division, Wimbledon third, but conceding late on, and I don't know. That's a huge blow for them because the extra points could have just pushed them a little bit further on, along with Port Vale breathing down their neck. Wimbledon have to play Port Vale as well. Doncaster dropped points as well at the weekend, but there were really some big results in there. I say Doncaster dropped points; they didn't play. Notts County dropped points against Crewe at lunchtime, and it was all sort of leveled up for AFC Wimbledon to push on and really kick on and start sort of maybe putting some foundations down in that top three. But Johnny Jackson's side shipped a couple of goals. Don't know what that was all about. Port Vale win again, and they're a side I look at and I'm worried about, Joe.
Yeah, look, I like Port Vale. They signed good experienced people, didn't they, in the summer? And the match winner, Ronan Curtis, the other day, who's been around these 1 and 2. He's a really good footballer. He's a very annoying to play against for anyone who's played against him. He's very chirpy. He will like to say things on the pitch, which I quite like actually. Great finish to beat a Resolute Morecambe team who gave everything in the end, but just that 1 moment of quality won it for Port Vale. And
He loves scoring a late goal.
it does, yeah. And he's played for you lot, hasn't he, as well?
Oh,
And
yes.
and done it a few times. Has he gone down in folklore for a winning goal that he has
He's
got
known
before?
as the Slayer.
Okay,
And
go
that
on.
day, the 2nd of March 2024, went down as St. Ronan's Day because he scored the goal that beat the franchise.
Yeah, and look, with Darren Moore there, like, I don't need to speak to you about the Wimbledon, the Don Derby. You can go into that a lot more than I can. But Darren Moore has been there. He's done it, hasn't he? He's got promotions under his belt. He's a good calm head when needed. And it wouldn't surprise me if Port Vale, Wimbledon, and Bradford, you know, end up being those top three. And Walsall are the ones. You look at their next few games. Walsall, Wimbledon on the weekend. It's massive.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. Well,
And
we'll be looking
then they
ahead to that.
play Donny and Port Vale after that, Walsall. So, in 3 games' time, if they don't win any of them, they could be out of the top three, which would be ludicrous.
The EFL just doesn't make it easy, does it? It gets harder and harder and harder, and that is what it's all about. It's why we love it so much. Joe, let's hone in on some of the big odds ahead of the weekend and just sort of refresh ourselves with the odds, courtesy of BetMGM. And we're looking at the outright winner of the championship, Leeds United, to -300. To win $100, you need to bet $300. Sheffield United at +350, a $100 wager wins you 350 biggins. Burnley in at +650, a $100 bet wins you 650 shots. And I tell you what, I like the look of Burnley. This title race at the top end of the championship, it is going to go down to the wire, Joe.
Yeah, I completely agree. If the money for me isn't with Leeds to win the league like that, how close it is right now with what 2 points separating the top three teams, I don't think you can put Leeds that far ahead of everyone else. I think Sheffield United have got a massive game against Coventry coming up on Friday night, and that's not an easy fixture whatsoever. And I just think Burnley are the ones at the minute. They haven't lost in 25 games. I just don't see them
Unbelievable.
losing. I don't see them losing at the minute. I know they have been drawing a lot, and they've been drawing. They've had a lot of 0-0s, but I think they started to turn a little bit. They signed Marcus Edwards in January, which I think is a really good signing.
Ridiculous
How
signing.
someone playing European football dropping down to the Championship? I think he's a very good player. Too good for the Championship, and he's proven that. He's been their kind of X factor the last couple of months since he's gone there, and I think he could be key to winning them a few more games than they were drawing before. And I think Burnley, for me, are the team that could sneak the top spot.
Absolutely. Those are the odds with BetMGM. Up next here on EFL Today, we will be talking to the former Wycombe Wanderers owner, Rob Couhig. Yeah, welcome back to EFL Today, everybody, with me, Aaron Paul and Joe Jacobson. Great to be alongside you as we navigate another week across the Football League and look ahead to the return of the full programme of fixtures. And we really are on the home straight now, east on the horizon, promotion and relegation all to be decided. For another club, though, it's much more than promotion and relegation. Let me bring you some news that broke just before the weekend, and that's that the Reading owner, Dai Yongge, has been given a deadline of April the 4th to sell the football club after he was disqualified under the EFL Owners and Directors test. The date imposed by the English Football League emerged at a hearing at the Commercial Court in London on Friday, where Young was trying to get an injunction against the former Wycombe owner, Rob Couhig, who he claimed was blocking his attempt to sell the Berkshire-based club. The request for a mandatory injunction was not granted by Mr. Justice Jacobs. The league then went on to confirm that Dai Yongge has been recently disqualified under the EFL Owners and Directors test. That's what the EFL said in a statement. The disqualification requires Young to divest his interests in the football club, and in the event that he fails to do so within the agreed time frame, the league will consider all options available within its regulations to bring the matter to a conclusion. Now, there have been so many failed takeovers of this football club, including Rob Couhig's. And Rob, look, he tried to go ahead and it's believed that he was closest to buying Reading Football Club. Delighted to say that Rob joins us now on EFL Today. Rob, how are you, pal?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Good to see you guys, and great to hear about your new podcast.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Great to be over in the States doing our thing. Rob, what does Friday's decision mean for you? What does it mean for Reading Football Club, and what does it mean for Dai Yongge? Because this is, it's the latest in a long line of announcements and statements, and the soap opera carries on.
Yeah, let's start with that. The soap opera continues, but really, it doesn't change the commercial reality that existed before they filed their most recent pleadings. We have always taken the position that we have a legitimate claim because they brought us to the altar. We spent over $1 million hiring accountants and an analyst and consultants and travel and the like, getting ready to do the purchase. We sent all of our money to England, expecting to be able to sign the documents. In fact, went further than that. We signed the documents to complete the purchase that were drafted by Mr. Young's lawyers and told us that this is the deal. The minority shareholders who were scattered throughout the world signed them. And we were just sitting there, and all of a sudden, without a phone call, a letter, or anything, they wired us back our money that we had lent, but it left out there that all of these security devices were based on the likelihood or the eventuality and requirement that they would sell us the club on the terms that we had agreed. So we have a claim now that we will pursue in June for our damages. We continue to tell them that we would be delighted to negotiate something else, but we've never heard from anybody.
Rob, so with all this going on and with the media kind of saying that you're the one blocking the move for potential new owners to take over the club, what's the message then to the fans of Reading who are kind of waiting on you to kind of move away so that they feel like they can then move on with what's going on for their football club?
Two messages. One, Mr. Justice Jacobs pointed out, in a commercial world, there's no need. We are not an impediment to the sale. Never have been, will not be. Anybody who's ever bought any business or sophisticated piece of property deals with these issues all the time. And so we fully expected somebody would call us and say, hey, how do we deal with it? And we're willing to do that. The second thing is I think they can take the message that I don't roll over for anybody. Well, you should know that, Joe. I mean, what the hell?
I very much do.
You used to try and negotiate me up for the players all the time.
Rob, put simply, what happens next? What happens next for Dai Yongge? He's got a deadline to sell this football club. What happens next for you? What happens next for Reading in lay terms?
Well, for Reading, I guess they continue to operate as normal. I'm a little nervous whether they have the money to pay the king that they owe him this week and whether they can put the money aside for the players, which they have had problems doing. But they've sold enough assets since we were supposed to have completed in September that they should have enough money, I would assume, to pay all those things. So the club itself, the players, and look, what a fantastic group of lads who have only 2 points out of the playoffs, despite all of the confusion that's gone on. Noel seems to be doing a fantastic job of unifying them in that age-old way that players do, as us against the world, and they're doing extraordinarily well. And I hope that can continue. For us, we will continue to do what we've been doing, which is to make our preparations to be in English football somewhere, someplace on good economic terms where we can bring our vision of how to upgrade and enhance a club and bring its success on and off the pitch. And as for Mr. Dai Yongge, I have no idea. I would be lying if I told you. I've never talked to him. None of the people that surround him talk to us. And they have concentrated. And I don't know that I blame Mr. Yongge on this, or Mr. Dai on this. They've seemed to have surrounded themselves with people who go out of their way to sort of blame the world for their issues. I mean, they've been on this campaign, and it drives me nuts. He's a reporter from the BBC up there who went on the radio a month ago and said, deal's done, no problems, absolutely, it's all good, because he's hearing directly from the folks who work for the club. And then 2 weeks later, it's all Couhig's fault that it's not going forward. And then, they're easily going to get Couhig's lawsuit dismissed. And then after it's over, I guess he doesn't say he's ever wrong, but he proved out to be wrong. And so they concentrate too much, it seems to me, on blaming people who are trying to do good. All we've ever wanted to do for this club is to help it fulfill its destiny as one of the top clubs in English football. It is a club that should escape League One and be playing mid-championship and contending for the Premiership. And it's not that far away. You know, we get blamed for a ton of stuff. When we were we went over and spent 5 different trips going there, and we got blamed by fans because what were we doing going to the games? Todd and I and our wives, and we had been invited by the management to go to the games because they thought they could help them sell tickets. We had a negotiated deal for our women's team where we had a woman in the United States who was going to join our group, who's a billionaire, because she and her daughter wanted to own a women's team. We get called one day and the team's gone the next. And, you know, during the course of that discussion, we told them, well, we need X or Y or Z, but it all disappears and we get blamed. So the one thing, and I know you guys aren't interested in this, it kind of tells you, you can't listen to social media very much because they don't know what they're talking about 97% of the time.
And Rob, you just mentioned along it there about people from America wanting to invest in football. What is it about English football that Americans like yourself really want to get involved in English football? Is it because of the pyramid structure, the fact that you can progress and go up the leagues? There's a dream, isn't there, of every football club to make it to the Premier League. So what is it about English football that Americans want to invest in?
Well, I think we're very competitive people. and we like the competition aspect. It's also a sport that the English don't recognize the value of internationally. It's got a global market, and we live in an age in which the real deliverable for football clubs in particular is that you have live entertainment all the time. And so, people want to see that and they want to be part of it. And then look, there's an ego factor. You can get into this for a lot cheaper than you can buy an NFL team or even a lower league baseball team or basketball team in the United States, or a soccer team. You can take your resources and what you would perceive to be your intellectual ability, marshal it together with the right program, put it together and watch it progress, or take the penalty of it not progressing. I mean, in my own case, we feel pretty strongly that our record in minor league baseball, where we won the world championship and had the top 5 attendances in the United States while we owned the club. Joe, when we were at Wycombe, we produced up until this year 5 of the best years, literal 5 best years that the club had in its 135-year history. And I'm convinced that had we been able to purchase this club timely, the club, which is, as I say, only 2 points off the playoffs, would be firmly ensconced in that playoff drive. So it's the ability to actually take something and see it develop in your own time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Rob, what's the plan now? What do you do? How do you move forward? You sound passionate. You still want to be involved at Reading Football Club, and you want to own Reading Football Club, and you want to see Reading Football Club prosper. What's the plan?
Yeah, I would start it slightly backwards. I want to see Reading football prosper, first and foremost. So that means I have to look at what are the options that are presented to me. But the first person who's got to tell us what those are the present owners, the incumbent owners. We have made, over the past 7 months, a half a dozen suggestions as to how to relieve this. We've never gotten anywhere for whatever reason. So they have to figure out what they want, why they want it, and talk to us. I will repeat here what I've told them multiple times through their lawyers and the like, or their agents, I guess I should say. They lost their first set of lawyers the day they didn't sell it to me. And those lawyers ended up suing them, or making a claim, I guess is the way you guys describe it. If given the right discussion points, I'd be there tomorrow morning. I will say this. I almost went last Friday for the hearing, but I would have been in one of those guys circling around Heathrow and coming back home. Joe, imagine how I would have reacted if that had happened. So,
yeah, that's true. You would have called me to stay at my house. That was what would have happened.
That's right.
Rob Couhig, thank you so much for joining us on EFL today. Really appreciate your honesty, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you, guys, and good luck to y'all. I think it's an interesting idea. One of the things I hope America will learn listening to y'all's broadcast is the intricacies of promotion and relegation. I've gotten to know what goes on with both sides of it. The real death knell is these guys who are now facing relegation and what they can do to escape. As Joe knows, the Great Escape's what it's all about. And there's only one thing more precious than that, and that's the promotion when you get it. So good luck to you guys, and I have a feeling you'll be quite successful.
Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you again to Rob Couhig for his honesty and for his transparency in coming on EFL today with us. Joe, just before we head off, want to know what's going on in your head from the mind of Joe Jacobson. Would love to know what's your hot topic of the week, this early part of the week.
Do you know what? I was looking back on the weekend's fixtures, and Bradford City v Colchester United, the 4th tier of English football, and there was over 23,000 fans there. What other sport, what other country would the 4th tier produce such a big following? Bradford's obviously a huge club and an ex-Premier League team, has had a tough number of years, really, going down the divisions and find themselves in League Two. One of the biggest games they've had in a long time within the Football League, against a Colchester team that we've talked about them on here, haven't we? How good form they're in, and the team that we think will go all the way through to the automatics. Bradford put a massive wall in their faces, didn't they? And battered them on the weekend. It could have been more. They beat them 4-1. The biggest game, to have 23,000 fans there produce a performance like that was incredible. So Bradford, they're my team of the week.
Do you know what? I wanted to focus on sort of attendances. 23,000 indoors at Bradford, 13 at Wrexham, 10,000 at Barnsley, 10,000 at Peterborough, 10,000 at Notts County, Lincoln at 8-9, Wimbledon 8-6, Chesterfield 8.5, going all the way down. I mean, my God, the Football League is just so loved, and I find that a lot of regular football fans are beginning to fall out of love with the top end of the Premier League purely because they're getting priced out. And I heard a lot of debate about it on the radio this week, where that you've got dads and mums talking about paying £100 or $100 a ticket each, plus food, plus drink, plus transport, plus if you've got to travel somewhere, the accommodation prices are just shot up. This could be a 5, 6, 7, 800, 900 pound game for them just to go and see one game. But the Football League still offers remarkable value. And that's what you saw this weekend when people flocked around the country. And the clubs have shown it can be done. And Bradford have been lauded for the fact that they put kids' tickets at £5, at $5, and they put adults at £10. They got a full house. They got a full house, and the atmosphere was something special. And I know a Colchester fan that went to the game, and I managed to sort their tickets out for him. And he said, "Look, thank you so much for the tickets. Really appreciate it. Really bad result, but some spectacle. It was unbelievable to go and watch." And so after kind of being a bit disillusioned with dynamic pricing ticketing and Premier League fans sort of Premier League clubs pricing the supporters out, I'm pretty pleased. I'm very, very pleased to see that the Football League was so well attended this week. We had non-league day, and for American fans that don't know, that's basically semi-pro amateur teams. That was well attended as well. Over 150,000 people going to their games over the weekend. And it's what it's all about. Football for football fans. We absolutely love to see it. Joe, that is it for this week's episode of EFL Today. Absolutely wonderful to be alongside you again. And we'll be back at the end of the week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Az. It's been a pleasure as always. Great to speak to Rob, getting that insight as well. And, hopefully we can get some more great guests on in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. It's back at the end of this week. We'll be looking ahead to a huge game on Friday night in the EFL, Sheffield United versus Coventry City. We'll have all the odds from BetMGM, but we'll be giving you a huge preview to the weekend's action as the championship returns after the international break. Until then, see you all next time on EFL Today.